cool things about books is they connect with your own life. And so one of the things I like about The One and Only Ivan is just all the animals that are in it. I've always loved animals. When I grew up on a dairy farm, the calves and the cows and the cats and the dogs we had, I just totally loved. And I've always loved my little dog. So little Roxy rides behind my bike in her little wagon, and she has just a beautiful time. And she understands everything I say. And so The One and Only Ivan is a cool book because it just gives us all those connections with animals. And I love how the animals, we get to hear what they think. And that makes that book so cool. Poor little Bob the dog, you can just know what he thinks and what Ivan thinks and what poor little Ruby thinks. And so it's pretty cool to read and just take off on any journey in your mind. So the last time we read, it ended with the powerful words, "It does matter." So poor Ivan, it seems, was trying to portray a message to Julia to get little Ruby into her own home. Not that Julia has a lot of power either. So anyway, when we start reading in reading number 22 on page 204, it's titled More Paintings. George calls out to Julia. He's done for the night. "Grab your backpack," he says, "and hurry. It's late." "Gotta go, Ivan," Julia says. Julia doesn't understand. "I have to find the right pieces. I dig through the pile. They're here somewhere. I know they are. I find one, another, and another, and I try to hold 4 of them up against the glass. Bob, I say, help me, hurry." Bob grabs paintings with his teeth and drags them to me. One by one, I shove the pictures through the window crack. They crumple and tear. There are too many pieces. My puzzle is too big. "Careful, Ivan," Julia says. "Those might be worth millions someday. You never know." She arranges the paintings into a neat stack. "I suppose Mac's going to want to sell these at the gift shop." She still doesn't understand. I shove more out through the hole and more, and all of them, one after another. "So Ivan's been painting, has he?" George says as he puts on his coat. "A lot," says Julie with a laugh. "A whole lot." "You're not taking all these home, are you?" George asks. "I mean, no offense to Ivan, but they're just blobs." Julia thumbs through the towering stack of paintings. "They might not be blobs to Ivan." "Leave these by the office," Julia suggests. Okay. Mac will want to try selling them. Although, why would anyone pay $40 for a fingerprinting that a 2-year-old could do? I don't know. "I like Ivan's work," Julia says. "He puts his feelings into them. He puts his hair into them." Julia waves goodbye. "Night, Ivan. Night, Bob." I press my nose against the glass and watch her walk away. All my work, all my planning, wasted. I look at Ruby, sleeping soundly, and suddenly I know she'll never leave the Big Top Mall. She'll be here forever, just like Stella. I can't let Ruby be another one and only. Wow, that's powerful. Next chapter is called Chest Beating. Often when visitors come to see me, they beat their hands against their puny chests, pretending to be me. They pound away soundlessly as the wet wings of a new butterfly. The chest beating of a mad gorilla is not something you ever want to hear. Not even if you're wearing earplugs. Not even if you're 3 miles away wearing earplugs. A real chest beating sends the whole jungle running, as if the sky were broken open, as if men with guns were near. Next chapter is called Angry. Thump. The sound, my sound, echoes through the mall. Julia and George spin around. Julia drops her backpack. George drops his keys. The piles of pictures go flying. Thump, thump, thump. I bounce off the walls. I screech and I bellow and I beat and I beat and I beat my chest. Bob, Bob hides under Not Take, his paws over his ears. I'm angry. At last, I have someone to protect. The next chapter is called Puzzle Pieces. After a long while, I grow quiet. I sit. It's hard work, being angry. Julia looks at me with wide, disbelieving eyes. I'm panting. I'm a little out of shape. What the heck was that? George demands. Something's really wrong, Julia says. I've never seen Ivan act that way. He seems to be calming down, thank goodness, George says. Julia shakes her head. He's still upset, Dad. Look at his eyes. My pictures are scattered all over the floor like huge autumn leaves. What a mess, George says, sighing. Wish I hadn't bothered sweeping tonight. Do you think Ivan's okay? Julia asks. Probably a temper tantrum, George says. He reaches under a chair to retrieve a brown and red picture. Can't say I blame the guy, stuck in a tiny cage all those years. Julia starts to answer, and then she freezes. She cocks her head. She stares at her feet, where my pictures lie in disarray. Dad, she whispers, come and see this. I'm sure he's another Rembrandt, George says. Let's pick these up and let's get going, Jules. I'm exhausted. Dad, she says again, seriously, look at this. George follows her gaze. I see blobs. Many, many blobs, along with an occasional swirl. Please, can we go home now? There's an H, Dad. Julia kneels down, straightening one picture and then another. That's an H in here. She grabs more pictures. Put this one here, and I don't know, maybe this one. You have an E. George rubs his eyes. I hold my breath. Julia is running now. She picks up one picture, sets another down. It's like a puzzle, Dad. This is something. It's a word, maybe words, and a picture of something. A giant picture. Jules, George says, this is crazy. But he's looking down at the floor too, wandering from one picture to picture, scratching his head. H, Julia says. E, O. O? Julia chews her lower lip. H-E-O, and then that looks a lot like an I. H-E-O-I. George writes in the air with his finger. I-E-O-H. Not the letter, an actual I. And that's a foot, or maybe a tree and a trunk. Dad, I think that's a trunk. Julia runs to my window. Ivan, she whispers, what did you make? I stare back. I cross my arms. This is taking much longer than I thought it would. Humans. Sometimes they make chimps look smart. And that's the end of reading number 22. A whole lot of stuff to write in this chapter. So remember to write a summary and then all your questions, predictions, feelings, and thoughts. Remember, if you don't know what you just heard, you listen to it again, because that's what readers do when they're reading. If it doesn't make sense, you read it again. So good luck. Can't wait to read them. See you later.